Alright, hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. It's July 18th. It's about 10:30 in the morning. The Accurate weather station we have in our backyard says the temperature is about 85, feels like 95. The humidity is probably north of 90% because I've just been out here for a few minutes and sweat's already starting to roll down my face. No overall introduction this week. I'm just going to give a brief introduction of each hive and then jump into the inspections. So down here at hive number 1, as you can see, still has the honey super on for all the same reasons as I've previously mentioned. A lot of rain this year, early spring, snow, cold snap, a few things that have just kind of put us a little behind schedule by about a month now. So just like last week, I'm going to check on the honey super, see how the bees are making progress with that. Hopefully they've been curing it more so than or more than last week. It has been very hot, so between that and not as much rain, I think the honey is getting, or the nectar is getting cured week by week. So I might be pulling the honey super today, or I might have to give them another week. And then we'll jump down into the brood chamber, which is still being ran as a single deep. I'm going to continue that throughout the rest of the season. Do a quick assessment and just see how the hive's doing. So pretty brief introduction for hive number 1. Not too much has changed week by week. So just a routine weekly hive inspection, check on the honey super, see how the colony's doing, and you know, hopefully there's not too many surprises. It's a pretty nice abundance of bees up in the top box here. That's what you usually want to see. Okay. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. I usually check the 4th frame. That's the, if you follow us on Instagram and Facebook, that's the frame that I usually post pictures of, because you can tell week by week that it keeps getting cured more and more, and I did mess up some progress for him just then. Let me set that aside. I just want to check the next one. And last week, I think I shared it on our video, I ended up checking the outside frames, which is something I don't typically do, and they were actually making, it looked like pretty nice progress on the outside frames as well. So they're still up here, they're still working the super. That's a nice frame. The one side is. I really want them to cure the honey more, so I think I'm going to leave it on for another week. And the only drawback to that is the plans that I have for the hives that have supers on, which is to add a division board feeder and remove the queen excluder so they can start on their winter prep by expanding the brood chamber into the queen excluder. That's what I plan on doing this year for overwintering. Instead of overwintering as a single deep or a double deep, I'm going to kind of go with a between option, which is to leave a medium super on, or a medium box really. It's not super, I'm not trying to collect honey, but just to give them that space to expand the brood chamber. Alright, let's smoke them a little bit. knocked one of the super frames and spilled some honey, which is what the bees right there are very occupied with. And just a good habit to create or to get into is checking the bottom side of the queen excluder for the queen. Alright, let's see how the brood chamber's doing. Yeah, first frame, very typical. Looks like they're slowly starting to work the outside of the frame, as in drawing out more wax, but not much going on really. Let me break some of these frames apart so I don't have to do this each individual time. I should be able to pull frames, maybe move a little more efficiently. Nice food store, also very typical. A lot of pollen, some capped honey on that, which, like I said, is typically what you find on the outer frames. That's a good food store, but the center is what caught my attention. It's wide open, as in available for the queen to lay in, so that's good to see. And then nice brood on this side. Nice brood. You can see some pupated larvae. I'm gonna make the assumption there's probably eggs down in the open cells, just based off the amount of the brood, or amount of brood. They're working that as a food frame, it looks like. Yeah. So that's interesting, and I think I pointed this out last week. What is this? 1, 2, 4, frame 5. It looks like that's just kind of odd. I mean, that's a queen cell. You can see from the side, it looks like a peanut. You can see the larva in there, but why it's uncapped, I'm not sure. It's kind of it just looks like an odd development of a queen cell. And I don't keep notes on my hives, that's why I make the videos. But I think, I can't remember if it was this hive or another, but there's another hive that had a developing queen cell. Let me grab my flashlight, because that is older comb, that's hard to see. And we're on what, frame 6, I think? I just want to see if they have eggs yet. Oh yeah. Yeah, very hard to see down in the older comb, but as soon as I hit it with a flashlight, pupated larva over on this side, and I said this in a previous post, if you just kind of follow the pupated larva as it gets smaller and smaller, yeah, there's eggs. There's eggs throughout over here. Pupated larva, it gets smaller, 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 and then eggs. So that's a pretty good trick if you have a hard time finding eggs, but you can find the pupated larva fairly easy before it becomes capped on day 9 or so. If you just follow it along as it gets smaller and smaller, you should find eggs that way. That's a ton of pollen on this side closest to the camera. and I think I said this in a previous video as well, I think these queens are starting to realize when I'm inspecting, because sunlight gets introduced into the hive, and I think they've started to move to the very last frame, because I found the queens on several colonies on the very last frame during a few inspections. Let's take a look at this side real quick. I mean, I already found eggs, but just more out of curiosity based on the brood there. Doesn't look like she's laying around the brood, but it's subject to change fairly quickly. See, that'd be a nice frame for the queen to lay in. But I don't see any eggs. So this is something else too. Did not find the queen, and she is marked, which makes them usually stand out. I mean, easy to spot, like extremely easy. So this happened last week in a different colony. So I'm gonna move back through them. I'd say fairly quickly, but not too quickly. But yeah, I'm gonna move back through them just to kind of double check each frame, because the marked queens usually stand out, I mean, extremely easily. So it's just kind of odd not to find her. Oh, I didn't even see that. So my memory was right. So this is frame what, 10, 9, 8, 7. Check that out. They have a developing queen cell. Let me hold this frame better. Or a developed queen cell, really. Yeah, so look at that. And that's a swarm cell. So let me set this frame aside. I'll set it over here. So that was frame 7. I'll set them aside, or that frame aside. Now I want to find the parent queen. See if she's still here, because they may have swarm, even though I found eggs that are a day old. This hive has tried to swarm basically for the last few months, 2 months maybe. There's another one. I totally overlooked that. So we have 2 fully capped queen cells and one that looks a little funky. And that's a super procedural cell. And that's frame 4. So 4 and 7, and I think 5 had that halfway developed. So we have three queen cells so far. 2 totally capped. 1, oh, there she is right there. So there's the parent queen right there. So there's still queen right. And I have 3 frames with queen cells. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cage her, set those three frames aside, and move those 3 frames into a nuke. Let's see. Alright, she's in there. So she's in there. Which, this is a good time to do that. I mean, I've wanted to do that this time of year anyway, like I talked about in the intro, making splits. So let me grab a nuke. I'll set just the deep 5 frame on top of the super here. Move the 3 frames that have queen cells into the nuke, and then figure a few things out real quick. Alright, so since I have 3 frames, I just left 2 frames in the nuke. So let's move those frames with queen cells. So this is a good frame too. Capped brood, a lot of pollen. There's the queen cell in the bottom left. So we'll put that in there. Let's find these other ones. I think it was this one, possibly. Possibly not. This might just have been the frame that had the queen on it. I think it's the next frame. Yeah, so we got a queen cell there. Ton of brood. So just like last time, I'm gonna have to move a frame, actually 3 frames, from another colony into this one to kind of give them a boost since they still have the super on. And then I think 10, 9, 8. May have been this one or the next one. Where was the other frame that had the queen cell? This one? One of the earlier frames? I don't remember. Yeah, there we go. So if you see that one, it's kind of a weird looking queen cell, so we'll see what happens with that. Alright, so they have 3 frames from hive number 1 here. Let me move things around a little bit. May just give them 3 newer frames, so it kind of gives them space as well. Kind of sounds like a halfway decent idea. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. I'll be right back. Let me grab some frames for them. Alright, so they have 10 frames now, as you can see. Let's see, so I got the queen. Let me find space for this nuke real quick. I'm actually going to put it right in between, right after 6. Alright, let's move this on over. And I forgot to do this, but I'm going to shake a frame of bees into the nuke. Some will return to this hive, some will stay. But there's enough foraging bees out right now, so I don't think this is going to hurt this hive's population. Alright, so that's that. Basically just made a split off of number 1. The previous times I did end up moving a few frames from another hive into this hive instead of putting new frames in, just because I didn't want to rob the population that much since they still have a super on, but I'll probably be pulling the super next week anyway, and they have a lot of field bees out foraging right now, so I think they'll be okay. And there she goes. Back into the hive. Alright, let's get the super at it. Back to number 1. Queen excluder first. And call it a day. It's got some weight to it. I just need them to cure it. Alright, well, there you go. Routine inspection of hive number 1. As you can see, the honey is starting to slowly come along. Week by week it's looking a little better, more cured. So I'll probably end up pulling it next week. And found the parent queen. I guess having a little patience in the thought of going back through the hive, especially after finding a few queen cells, 3 exactly. Made a split. I'll check on them in the upcoming weeks. Out of 5 frames, having 3 drawn frames, 1 queen cell per frame, and then 2 new frames to work. I'd be surprised if they don't become queen right within the next month. That's typically how long it takes after you move a frame with a queen cell or make a split. So yeah, that does it for hive number 1. July 18th. Probably about 11 o'clock now. Hot, still hot in Jacksonville. Yeah, check us out on Instagram and Facebook. Cole's Farm NC is how you can find us. The links are in the top right banner of our YouTube page as well. And if you haven't subscribed or hit the bell to receive notifications of future videos, I would appreciate that as well. And again, I think I've mentioned this in the last few videos, if you're in or around the Jacksonville, North Carolina area, just hit us up on social media. We're also on Google Maps, and if you're interested in purchasing some honey, just check out our social media pages and channel towards the end of the month, and we should have some ready for purchase. Accept cash, credit cards, because I have a little Square app device. So whatever currency you have, we'll be able to figure it out. Alright, thanks for watching everybody. Cole's Farm, Jacksonville, North Carolina. Another routine inspection of hive number 1. Complete.